story time about why you should always choose your roommate wisely. Okay, so a little background information. I was 19 and I had just finished my freshman year in college. Now, the college that I went to was really strict about freshmen living in the dorms the first year, which I think a lot of colleges are like that, but mine was just like really strict about it. So when summertime came around, I decided that I was gonna get an apartment near the campus. Now, yes, I could have went home with my parents because they did live only about 30 minutes from where I went to college, but I didn't really want to go home considering the fact that as soon as I went to college, my parents let all 4 of my sister's boyfriends move in with us. Literally. Also, let's not forget that my room was turned into a nursery room because 2 of my sisters were pregnant. And I know you guys probably think that I'm over exaggerating when I say all of my sister's boyfriends live in my parents' house, but no, I literally mean every single one of them. My youngest sister, who is 14, her boyfriend got kicked out of his parents' house. My parents felt super bad because he had nobody else, so they were like, okay, yeah, he can live with us. But I don't think they knew what that started, because as soon as they let her boyfriend move in, my other 3 sisters, who are triplets, were like, well, how come her boyfriend gets to move in and ours don't, you know? And here's the worst part about that. The triplets, they're all 21. They never went to college, they don't have jobs, and all 3 of them decided that they wanted to get pregnant together, which 2 of them did. The other one ended up having fertility problems. And I'm just gonna add this in here as well. Could my parents afford all of this? No. But could my grandparents? Absolutely. So my mom has never worked a day in her life because as soon as she turned 15, she met my dad, and his parents have so much money, it's literally ridiculous. And I feel really bad that my grandparents are paying for all of them, so I don't ever ask them for money. Even though they definitely have enough money to support me while I'm in college, I just want it to be a little bit independent, you know? That was totally off topic, but that's pretty much why I can't go home. Anyway, so a week or 2 before we had to be out of the dorms, I started looking for apartments, and a lot of them were super freaking expensive. I actually started to get really nervous, and I thought that I was going to have to ask for my grandparents' help at that point. But finally, I found this apartment, and it was not in the best neighborhood, but it was $800 a month, including utilities, which if you don't know, that is really good. It had 2 bedrooms, a master bedroom, and then a smaller bedroom, which like was the size of a small dining room. And then there was a full bathroom, a half bathroom, and then 2 parking spaces right outside. So I didn't have to do the street parking or anything like that. And I worked as a waitress at this one club, so I was making really good money. So this place was more than affordable. And after I moved in, I made the small bedroom more of like an office slash study room, because I'm definitely one of those people who gets very distracted very easily, so I needed my own space to focus. So fast forward to the end of summer, the club that I was working at got shut down for good reasons. Over the past 2 months, they had 17 underage girls get either drugged, alcohol poisoning, or sexually assaulted at this club. And yes, like I said, it was shut down for good reason, but at this point, I'm worried about what the hell I'm going to do. One of the girls that I talked to said this has happened for the past 4 summers that she's been working there, literally every summer. And she was like, don't worry, they'll literally be open in a week. So I was like, okay, that's not bad. A week. Yeah, fast forward, 2 weeks goes by, and I get a message from my manager saying that he does not know when the club will reopen, so it might be best to find a new job. Great. Amazing. But here's where the issue was. I was making great money at this job, right? I got 2 paychecks a month, and each paycheck was around $500, and then my tips every week were kind of between $500 and $700. And yes, I saved some of this money, but I wasn't planning on losing this job, so I did not save a ton of it, which I know, stupid on my part. But yeah, so I paid my rent for that month. So now I was on the hunt for a new job and a roommate. And I wasn't really set on the whole roommate thing because I thought I could find a job good enough. But eventually I found a job at a clothing store. But that was not going to be enough at all. Because not only did I forget that I was making really good tips, but now I also had to go to school too, so I had to cut my hours. So I couldn't even be making as much money as I wanted to be. So I put up pretty much an ad for somebody to be my roommate, which it pretty much just said, looking for a roommate, I have a 2-bedroom apartment, blah, blah, blah. I have 1 dog, which doesn't get along well with other dogs, so no animals. And we would have to share a bedroom. Also, no parties or people over after 8 o'clock at night on weeknights. Message me for more details. Now, I had talked to a few people, but there was this one girl who we're gonna call Maya. She seemed like a really, really, really good fit. She was completely fine with us sharing a room, and she had no pets, she had a job, and she also was about to be a sophomore in college. So this worked even better because I don't know if I mentioned this, but the apartment, even though it was in a really bad neighborhood, it was only 10 minutes away from campus. So we could literally walk there if we wanted. Now, like I had mentioned before, the rent was $800. And here's the thing. Yeah, it was $800, but that's not including the security deposit that I had to put down, first month and last month's rent. So I decided that she should pay $400 a month. And she was completely fine with that at the time. And I told her she also had to pay half of the internet bill and she had to buy her own groceries, which again, she was fine with. So everything was pretty much going good. In fact, she actually moved in 2 days after that. So Maya and I got along right away. She was super nice. She seemed like a super respectable person. Fast forward about a month, I'm working in my office the one night, and the reason why I had put in the application like no people over after 8 o'clock was because one, I really meant 8:30, but I had a feeling that if anybody was over, they would make sure that they're at least out by 8:30. And also, since I work right after school, I come straight home and I study in the office. And that's another reason why I like having that office, is because say I am home during the day and I want to study, I don't have to, you know, be in the living room or anything like that. Well, clearly Maya forgot about that stipulation, because at 7:30, 3 of her girlfriends came over and I was like, all right, you know, hopefully they're just stopping in for a minute. Hopefully it's nothing, you know, big. Well, all I hear while I am trying to work is a bunch of girls screaming, stomping while I'm trying to work. And I'm also not a confrontational person, right? So that's why I also put it in the application, because I didn't want to have to tell anybody to their face like, hey, your friends need to leave, because I feel like that can get confrontational. So it happened the first night and I was like, all right, whatever, fine, don't care. I did care, but still. And then it happened the second night. This actually went on for a week straight, literally every single night of the week. So as you could imagine, at this point I am extremely upset. And the one night when Maya's friends weren't over, I asked her if her and I could talk. I was like, hey, I have been trying to study the past few nights and you've been having people over past 8 o'clock. And then I just said that and I was like kind of waiting for her to respond. So there was like an awkward silence there, because she looked at me and she was like, what are you trying to get at? But she was like, oh, like they're only in town for a few days, you know, like, so when they come over, I'll just tell them to be quiet. Girl, no, that's not gonna freaking work. I told you to just not have your friends over past 8 o'clock. Like, how hard is that? And she saw the look on my face, because I was like, okay. And then she goes, don't worry, if they're being too loud, I'll tell them that they have to leave. It's all good, girlfriend. That's literally the exact way that she said it. Just like that. It's all good, girlfriend. I got you.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Do you? Do you really? She was like, I would never disrespect you in your own house. Like, that is not my intention at all. Well, you kind of just did, babe. Anyway, so they come over the next night, and this time I decide to take a a video so that way she knows what I'm talking about. Because usually if you tell somebody, they'll be like, okay, yeah, whatever, and then, you know, they'll do it again thinking that they're not making any noise or they're not doing the same thing. So I take the video, I send it to Maya, and when I send it to her, she sends me a question mark back. So now I'm like, okay, great, here we go. So now I'm super pissed off because one, I really haven't been able to get any of my freaking work done. So I sent her a message and I was like, did you even listen to the video? And I didn't think I was being rude or anything like that. Like, sure, I was aggravated, but like, you know how you can like feel the vibe through text? Like, there wasn't really like a bad vibe. I just said, did you even listen to the video? Well, I hear a bunch of footsteps going down the stairs. So I'm like, period, everybody's fucking leaving. I can actually get some work done. They weren't leaving. They were not leaving. Instead, the next thing I knew, the office door swung open and Maya and all of her friends were standing in the doorway. So she comes in and her little posse follows her behind her. And she was like, do we have an issue? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, there was no reason for you to get an attitude with me over like text. So I was like, oh, I'm sorry, like I didn't mean to have an attitude. I was just saying that I could hear the music and people stomping and yelling again. And she was like, well, nobody's even stomping and the music isn't even that loud. So now I'm super confused and I kind of feel like I'm getting bullied. Like I was backed into a corner while her and all of her friends are standing over me while I'm sitting down at my desk. Not to mention, her friends were in the back making jokes and just like taunting me, kind of. They were like, oh, like maybe she's hearing things, like maybe there's a ghost stomping around the house.